Yo, hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Flashpoint Wonder Woman and the Furies, issue number 2. Take a look at this cover right here. Now, issue number 2 of Wonder Woman and the Furies continuously supports my theory that Wonder Woman and the Furies and Emperor Aquaman tie in heavily with each other, and that instead of reading each series alone, you should really read them together to get the full scale of this story. In addition to that, these two stories, Emperor Aquaman and Wonder Woman and the Furies, tie into Flashpoint on a whole, at least towards the end. But that's something I'll get into when I review Emperor Aquaman issue number 3, which should be up around this time. But we're not talking about Emperor Aquaman. No, we're talking about Wonder Woman and her Furies, whom really don't show up that much. It's just mostly Wonder Woman. Now, the interesting thing when you look at these two comics is Emperor Aquaman deals with the Wonder Woman-Aquaman feud right now, whereas Wonder Woman and the Furies deals with what actually went down to make these two super-powered beings be at war with each other. In issue number 1, we get to see Wonder Woman's mother get assassinated and Garth get blamed for it. In issue number 2, we get to see a little bit more about what happened after the assassination and what led up to the two of them really starting to get at each other's throats. Aquaman wants to have peace, and he wants to find out what really went down between Wonder Woman's mother being assassinated and who's really behind it. He even goes so far as going into Wonder Woman's temple and saying, "I want peace. I do not want this to happen. We are being tricked here." And Wonder Woman says, "Okay, maybe we can figure out a way to work this out." But there's a big explosion, and Wonder Woman blames Aquaman, and both get emotional, and then they swore vengeance against each other, or more, Wonder Woman swears vengeance on him. And then the two part ways, and the war starts to escalate. It really starts to get very personal when Mira, who is the wife of Aquaman, is killed by Wonder Woman. This is no secret. We knew this from issue number 1. It actually shows what went down between Mira and Wonder Woman to cause her death. And this just infuriates and enrages Aquaman, and it just causes the war to get more and more personal and more bloody and, well, bigger. And that's the basic gist of issue 2, is it's, again, more backstory and more information about exactly how these two started to get going toe-to-toe with each other. So let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. Well, I have to say that the background information, the origin story, I guess, between this war between Aquaman and Wonder Woman, it's a lot more entertaining than it was in issue number 1. Issue number 1 was kind of, it's like, oh, we're getting the information, but I'm kind of bored with it. It's not really impressing me. There's a lot more emotion behind this. There's a bit of action behind it too, but there's a lot more emotion. I'm more invested in these characters and seeing exactly how these guys are going to interact with each other. How did they get to the point where they are? I mean, are they really going to cause a war over one person being killed? Are they really that rash, or is there more to it? Is there more betrayal to it? The backstory is a little bit more interesting here, and we get a little bit more, which only adds to the story on a whole. So I like the backstory that is being shown here. The action scenes are good. I particularly like when Mira attacks Wonder Woman, although it's very short. It was pretty nice. Bad. Well, first of all, the art is kind of inconsistent. It seems to have one artist going in here and then another artist here, and it seems back and forth. I could be wrong if there's two artists, but it definitely seems as there is. It looks like there's two artists on the cover with the names crediting them, but the art just is sporadic. It's not that it's bad art, it's just sporadic art. 2 is that I don't really like how Wonder Woman's being portrayed in this series, which is interesting because I really love how Aquaman's being portrayed. The thing is when I was going into Wonder Woman, the Furies, and Emperor Aquaman, I figured each comic series would portray its individual hero as the one that is right. Like Emperor Aquaman, when you read it, you can't help but be sympathetic towards Aquaman. He's not doing good stuff. He's clearly a bad person, but you feel sympathetic towards him. Wonder Woman, I thought I was going to get the same thing, but instead, I'm feeling as though her character is kind of a whiny girl. She's brash, she's impulsive, she's quick to blame people, and she's not the Wonder Woman we've all grown to know and love. Granted, this is kind of an alternate universe, still Wonder Woman feels a little off, and she's portrayed, even in her comic, as more of the bad guy than Aquaman should be portrayed as. So I don't really care for how Wonder Woman's being portrayed so much in this. On the whole, whether or not you should get it. Uh, yes, but not for the sake of the comic itself or for even Wonder Woman series, just because it adds more to the big Flashpoint Wonder Woman Aquaman war. Again, in my Emperor Aquaman review for number 3, I will get more into exactly how these comics will affect Flashpoint's main series. But this adds a lot to exactly what went down between the two, the betrayal, the hatred, the passion, everything. And I think it does a good job for that. On the whole, the issue is mediocre. And in addition to that, the series has been kind of mediocre up to this point. But it's feeling like this is more supporting the other comics. This goes back to what I was saying beforehand, in that Aquaman and Wonder Woman really should be together. It shouldn't be Emperor Aquaman and Wonder Woman the Furies. It should be Aquaman versus Wonder Woman, and have it be a 5 to 6 issue story of just those two. You could even trim it down to 4 issues or whatever. But I mean, you really could get more out of this than just having them being separate and having the individual series hurt themselves being on their own rather than having to get them together. Because some people will go out and they'll buy Wonder Woman the Furies, and they won't get the whole story, and they won't want to pick up Emperor Aquaman for whatever reason, or vice versa. They'll pick up Emperor Aquaman, but they're not going to want to pick up Wonder Woman the Furies, and they're not going to get that full enjoyment that could come out of getting both. So like I said, the individual itself is kind of mediocre, but get it for the overall story that you get with the Emperor Aquaman series. So with that said, this is Andrew saying, peace out for now.